Hey everyone, and welcome to the Creative Financing Podcast. I'm Nicole Kimanjian. I'm here with Cody Richard and the host of this show, Jeff Rappaport. This is episode 246, and today we're going to go over part 7 of how to determine when and how to write creative financing offers. While listening to this episode, if you guys have questions, please head over to the Creative Financing Podcast Facebook group. If you're not part of the community, just search the Creative Financing Podcast in Facebook and ask to join. There will be a live session on the second Thursday of every month, so bring your questions. If you're watching this on YouTube, you can ask your questions in the comments below. Lastly, we want to thank you for subscribing, liking, and sharing this podcast with your friends.
Awesome. So really what I wanted to do is we just created some offers. Nicole created some offers, right? She created 2 of them. And I'm curious, Cody, what if anything would you have done differently on these? And I will give you what I did, and I think we'll find that they're not terribly far off, right? So but what's your feedback?
Yeah, so I think they were good offers. I think they were different enough. Honestly, in today's market, I probably would come even lower on the purchase price for both of them. Maybe hitting 340 on the high end if that was our ARV, and being below that on my other offer. The down payments I thought were reasonable for both. I like to be on the lower end, and if they want to try to talk me up, we can talk about it.
Sure.
But 10,000 on the one, 20,000 on the second offer. So generally, I thought it was good. I'd probably start with a little bit more favorable terms for myself on the front end.
Okay.
So I can copy what's here. If you'd like, I can quickly make updates. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so for my option, I love the 15-year. Like I mentioned, for the purchase price, I would have come down closer to 340. I mean, if I knew what the down payment was or what they needed, I would go based on that. But in this, I'll leave it at 20. I think that's a perfectly reasonable down payment, especially having a second offer with a lower down payment.
Mm-hmm.
So my monthly payment, I'd probably start at like 3% interest. If they want to try to talk me up, if they want to try to make it higher, that's fine. But being that there's no underlying mortgage, they're still going to be making about $1,350 a month in net income, which is great just for this property they've been wanting to sell, and they're getting market value for it.
Yep.
So I would have changed that a little bit. Again, brought that interest rate down to 3. I like 15 years. I would have kept it there. And with the 15-year, my balloon payment would have been about $195. And then I guess we can look at the net real quick. So a little different than Nicole's. Her net was 539. Mine would have been a bit lower, plus 20. My net would have been 458, so about $80,000 lower. Yeah. So comparing her 7-year offer and this 15-year offer, I probably wouldn't be able to present those together.
But her first offer it netted like for, how much did I say before? 425.
Yeah, so the difference between that 425 and the 458 wouldn't be significant enough for me to present those together.
Right.
So I also would have brought down some of the stuff on the other offer.
I see what you're saying. Yeah, because
purchase price being lower.
This is your longer offer. Yeah.
Yep. Exactly.
Yep.
Exactly. But that would have been where I took it, and with that, the monthly income would increase. On my exit, the down payment would be the same on my exit. My balloon would increase a bit on the exit.
Yep.
So I would like to start there just to give myself more spread.
Mm-hmm.
And that all depends on if they're motivated, how demanding they are in these different areas. So I would like to start a little lower though.
Yep. So, and I'll tell you what I did. It's interesting because they're all kind of similar, right? And So I created 3 offers, and my first one is almost so it's 340 with 20 down, just like that. 3% interest, but I didn't amortize it over 30 years. It's more that simple hybrid interest,
Okay.
and
And what'd you pick the payment at?
1,500, because in all of these offers, really what I looked at is I didn't want to be much over $1,500. And that way, if I'm getting, 1,900, 2,000, I had to rent this property. I feel comfortable that, I make either a really good cash flow, or um, I'm protected, right? And this is free and clear. I don't have to work around any debt. So I agree. Your payment of 1,350 is a good payment, but I offered a shorter term, which I know is exactly opposite of what we've been talking about. But the reason that I did it is that if I can get that rapid principal pay down, there's some things that I can do to be able to get out of this deal in 5 years. So and to be honest, I wrote this 2 weeks ago, and over the last 2 weeks, I've decided I wanted to write longer term deals. So I'd probably offer it more at like 7 years, but I do get pretty good rapid principal pay down. So my payoff after 5 years would be 274, 747. And seller nets 384, 747 total.
And just as a reference, so you would be at right about 80% ARV at that balloon time with that 375.
If it doesn't do anything from
Yep.
here on out, right?
Yep.
Yep.
And sorry, what'd you say for the net there?
The net, it was 384, 747. So yours are much higher than mine. And I would be okay with either of those offers, right? What I probably should have done is maybe drop my payment just a little bit, and extended the term a bit. So now if we look at a second option, which is very similar, it's like 345 with 25 down, 4% interest, amortized over 30 years. Monthly payment of $1,527. So I'm still within like that $27 of where I want to be. For 10 years.
You doubled the term on that one?
Yep.
Okay.
And the balloon was 252, 108. Now the seller net's 460,000, 348 in 10 years. So that's like another almost 80,000 for another 5 years.
Yeah, that's pretty significant. Very enticing for a seller.
Yep. And I had a third offer. One that we didn't talk about, but we're going to do subordination.
What made you decide to do subordination, Jeff?
So if it's free and clear, and what is the weakness of the first 2 offers?
Down payment's pretty low.
Right. So that's what I can make stronger with a subordination offer. So if the issue is that they need more money up front, then it makes only sense that I give them something that can get them more money. And that way, hey, we got several different situations covered. If they needed 50 grand so that they could go do something with it, my offers right now don't get them the money that they need. But with the subordination within reason, I can. So I offered 350,000, and I almost always offer more with subordination because there's usually not going to be any interest involved. So it's going to be kind of principal only. So they're going to net 350 total. So the other ones, they make way more money over time, but if getting the money they need up front is super important, this is the one that gets it for them. So and what I want to do is I try to offer as little, the lowest amount that I can, because one way or the other I'm paying more interest on this portion, right? So so I offered 60,000 down, and I borrow that in first position, and then the balance of 290 is held in second position. And the way that I looked at this is that, hey, I know I can go borrow this privately at 8%, interest only. I'll pay $400 a month. So what does that tell me about what I should be able to offer them?
About 1,100.
Yeah,
That's what you're going to do.
Right. So that's what I did. I offered them $1,100 a month principal only payments. And I kept this to 5.5 years because we didn't do a great job of getting the details, right? Like how long of a term, what kind of down payment. And so my assumption is that most people want shorter terms, not longer terms. And so here I have two that are around the 5-year mark and one that's around a 10-year mark. And they would make their balloon payment be 217,400 at the end, and plus the 60. So I would still owe about 277,400, which is again borderline at that 80%.
Pretty close. Yeah. About 81.
Yeah. And that's without any appreciation over the next 5 years. So I feel fairly confident that would be okay. But do you see, Nicole? I mean, I know if we asked you, you would say, yeah, I struggled. I didn't know it. But your offers were not so, they're right in line with what both Cody and I would offer. Really, you just need some confidence in how you get there so that you feel comfortable in doing it. But is this a deal, Cody? Would you pursue this?
With any of these offers, I'd pursue it.
Right? Like if you can get a $400 to $800+ a month cash flow on a property in the 340, 50 range, that's free and clear, in good condition, in a good market, yeah, you do that every single day.
I think it was it was easier once I knew what a buyer would do because then it's more purposeful when you're playing with the numbers, right? Versus just like, well, I don't know, I'm just throwing this in there. I guess it sounds good.
And maybe in reality we did, but you just it didn't register for you.
Right.
Remember when
we
were like looking at, hey, what would it take? What would it be around if they went and got a loan and it was like 6.75 or 7%? Before we ever started that, right? I said, let's get an idea with what the payment would be. And in reality, that's what we were doing. Is what we were looking at is, hey, what range, what would someone going to the bank be open to paying? More than likely, one of our buyers is going to pay more. And then, maybe even do a little bit less so that we know, hey, worst case scenario, does that still work for us? And when I'm coming in at a $1,500 a month payment, basically across the board, that, hey, if my lowest that I can get from my buyer is $2,000, I still make $500 a month, right? And if the seller came back and was like, well, I really need 1,650, could we negotiate another $100 for him? Yeah, we certainly could. Don't always want to put our best offer out there, right? When there's room, we like to create some room. And if they say yes, we just get it. And if they want to negotiate, we still got some room to do so. So in reality, we did try to figure out where we would be, ballpark, and that's the whole goal. But yeah, I thought that might help. That way you get to see, what fits. And when you're trying to figure out, hey, well, I'm going to have an end buyer, I want to make some money, and it's going to make sense for me. But and what people forget is, hey, this works for me, and this is, the best case scenario. I'll sell it to this person. But first of all, you took the best case scenario. I wouldn't do that. And second, if you don't get the offer accepted, there's no best case scenario, right? So that's where the goal has to be, is if I don't get it accepted, there's no making any money. And so it can't be so one-sided. It really makes no sense for the seller.
Right.
Yeah, and what I'd recommend to anyone, trying to get started with writing creative financing offers and having some analysis paralysis, use this whole series as a guide. Learn which way works best for you. And if you have questions, reach out in the Facebook group. There'll be people there to help push you and guide you along so you can get comfortable. You write 10, 20, 30 offers. Like, okay, yeah, I've got this down. This makes a lot more sense.
I totally agree. And hopefully it has been helpful. And this is the kind of series you probably want to watch on YouTube and see the visuals and be able to work through the numbers yourself, because it'll be a great exercise for you. We'll have to decide on our next recording if I will do one or not. That was the plan, but I think we got the point across, and you've seen me do plenty of deal structuring. I don't know if that would add to it or not. We'll think about that and let you guys know. But any last words? I mean, Nicole especially, I'm really curious. And don't, if it didn't help, tell me. No, Jeff, it sucked. It didn't help.
Of course this helped. I am not complaining about this one-on-one mentorship I'm getting from both of you. Like, this is these episodes are super helpful for me every time. And even being in the hot seat was even more helpful, just because I had to logically think through things. And with your guys' guidance, which I usually wish I had when I'm doing these on my own. So this was cool. I get to now watch like on replay, basically, for myself even. So if our listeners like learned anything from this, like, please leave us a review, because we're giving this free content, and I don't know how much these classes or like what you would pay. Jeff, maybe you would know, like, for someone else to teach you this, but we're literally but like, it's free. So we're just asking for a payment of a written review.
$5 million. Oh, sorry. Now, and to be honest, the reason that it is free and the reason that it is that we do give this away is that two reasons. And I'm hoping that if it's not the same for the two of you, that it will be at some point. I am slightly older than both of you, slightly. And I enjoy teaching, and I enjoy having an impact on people's lives. And so if we can make that happen through a podcast, I'm all for it. And it's been great working with the two of you, because I just feel like there's different layers that we can deal with. And just like our audience has different, they're at different places in their investment career, that we can kind of help the more experienced ones, we can help the less experienced ones, we can help the very beginner ones. And when it no longer is doing that, I think that's when we retire. So any last
Agreed.
words? I appreciate the both of you. That was quite the series, and hopefully it was good for our audience.
Yeah, nothing from me. Thanks, Nicole, or good job, Nicole. Thank you
Thanks.
for going through
Thank
all
you,
that.
Cody.
All right, we will see you soon, and go out and create some terms.